I'm Katie Wilde, and I am the VP of Engineering at Buffer, which is a globally distributed remote team since before COVID sent us all remote. And you can also find me all over the internet on Twitter, especially my DMs are open and I'm at Go Katie Wilde. So you can definitely contact me and find me if there's anything you want to ask about in this talk. Alrighty, so how to own your career path, how to feel that you're not just being thrown around by, the forces and you are having some kind of a strategy for your career, you're executing on that. How to do that? Well, I've broken it down into 3 areas here. The first one is finding your unique selling point. If you think of yourself as something that you're kind of selling in the labor market, what is your secret sauce? We're also going to talk about leading without managing. There's nothing wrong with being a manager. I'm a manager. I love being a manager, but it's not the only way. And I do want to cover here making a business case for promotion as an individual contributor, as an expert, without needing to manage other people. And then lastly, we're going to think about how to magnify your impact wherever you're at now. I want this talk to be really actionable for you and to help you think about the growth that you can have where you are today and how you can get the most out of your current role, or if you're not in a full-time job, out of your current situation. So finding your unique selling points. This is, I think, a very important way to start with any kind of career path is find this concept of ikigai for yourself. What is this overlap between the things that you're good at, the things that you're passionate about, and the things that people will pay you to do? The pay you to do part I've put in here because mostly, people work because we also need to get paid. I started off my career. I went to university. I studied philosophy. I was very passionate about philosophy. I was not bad at it. And however, it did not overlap with what people would pay me to do. I realized that philosopher isn't a common job. And you can be an academic, you can be a professor, but those are not well-funded departments. You would have to wait for someone to die. Like, I'm very serious. This is how it works. So I then switched from being in this purple area, what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about. And I swung right over into, okay, I have to figure out some way to support myself. I need to, earn a living. And what are people going to pay me to do? And I'm a self-taught developer, got into tech, started making websites for people because this is what people will pay me to do. I was not very good at it when I started. And I also was not passionate about it. I do want to admit that some people have been coding since they were 6 and they really love tech. I, had to work my way from solidly out in that yellow circle of like, I'm doing this because I need the money, to I figured out something that, I don't want to say I'm awesome and passionate. I would say that reasonably competent at it and fairly satisfied. And I think that's good. If you're sort of reasonably competent, satisfied, and well paid, that's totally fine. You don't have to be awesome and passionate and all the rest. So what I did here to move into this sweet spot was, once I'd figured out, okay, here's what people will pay me to do, I moved over into a little bit of like, what is it that I'm more passionate about? What is it that I'm drawn towards? Kind of moving into that orange quadrant there. For me, I really enjoyed working with other people, working in a team, helping to organize things. The kind of typical engineering managery work came very naturally to me. And from doing that, I then became sort of more competent at it, just sort of deliberate practice. I would say what you're awesomely good at is probably the blue circle, is the one that has the most give. If you find something that you like and that you can get paid for, it's very likely that you can learn the skills. I don't think you can learn any skill at all. Like, I would never be able to play basketball. And I don't think I could do sales. So I don't want to overpromise on this talk and say you can do anything, but you can do most things. A lot of people start with, what is it that I'm good at? And then they're trying to figure out, okay, well, of the things I'm good at, what are the ones I can do? What are the things that I would be paid for. And I think it's non-obvious that the thing you're good at is actually the most flexible. Given deliberate practice, you can acquire almost any skill. I'd say deliberate practice and a growth mindset. So if you are in a role currently, so if you think of, me when I was first figuring out, okay, I'll get paid for tech, I'm going to start building websites. How did I start moving into that orange circle of the things that I'm doing that do pay me and the things that I like? Figure out what parts of your current role are the most rewarding. So I realized I really liked dealing with my clients. I really liked working, with other people in a team. So when I then was in a company, I was able to take on more kind of managerial work and share how it's useful to the business, share how this would actually help the team develop. If you're in an IC, you can in an IC position, an individual contributor position, you can do this as well. If you're, say, a designer and you really, like to code, maybe you're going to move towards front-end dev. Or if you're a data person and you really like thinking about the product, maybe you're going to be moving slightly more towards a product manager. So I do want to emphasize that these kind of sideways shifts can be really powerful ways to navigate the circle from wherever you are that you're paid for, what you're good at, and getting more down into what you're passionate about. Look for the bits that you're doing now and try to shift your current situation. You don't need to go for a major promotion or a whole new career. You can shift it incrementally. And then if you are currently in a position where you have a manager, somebody that, has a traditional ladder power over you, managing up is very important for shaping your career path. It is your job to manage up to your boss. Most people think of their manager as somebody who should manage them, and they should. However, what's often not said is it's important for you to take a lot of ownership of that relationship. How do you manage them? How do you set their expectations? How do you learn what is important to them? How do you deliver on the things that are important to them? Because that will help you shift your role. And how do you get really good feedback that is going to help you to grow? A lot of managers, honestly, in the industry are extremely overworked, very stressed out. They might not be doing all the lovely things that you might see, Erica Stanley tweeting on Twitter and all of the things that ideally one would do. And you can really improve your situation by following the tips I've linked there and being an active participant in your relationship with your manager. Now, I did mention that I personally gravitated towards being an EM and going the manager track, but it is a little bit unusual in the sense that, for every one manager, there's a variety of people kind of being managed. And actually, most people in the industry that become experts, that become influential, are not, in fact, people managers. I think it's very important to think about shaping your career where the obvious kind of like up into a people lead position is not the most common. Becoming an expert who's not a manager is a very important path. And statistically, for most people, that is going to be the better path, the more available path, and often the more satisfying path. It's also something to bear in mind that if you do go the management track, the more you succeed, the fewer jobs you go. Once you end up at like a VP level, well, there's not a ton of those opportunities. I mean, there are, but not nearly as many. There's, one VP for, 40 to several hundred engineers. So things start to become more restricted. So if you're really indifferent between the two paths, I think that's something important to bear in mind. If you're becoming an expert, a senior, a lead, a staff level designer, engineer, an organization typically has way more of those. And so they are much less restricted. There's more opportunities. Your organization might already have an individual contributor career ladder, engineer, senior engineer, staff engineer, principal engineer, like distinguished fellow of excellence. And I mean fellow in the gender neutral IBM sense there. But if they don't, these are a thing. You can introduce them at your company. And we will talk a little bit here about how to do that. You can figure out What does this look like for you if you're an engineer? Engineering career paths are relatively well developed right now. You can Google it, DM me. And if you're not an engineer, though, if you're thinking, well, how do I become a staff designer? Is that a thing? It is. It is absolutely a thing. A senior data scientist. These are absolutely things. So I can't speak to all industries broadly here, but I would recommend that you find mentors and that you speak up about the benefits to the company that putting in place this IC career track have. And for the sort of career track and speaking up on this, it's also important that you link what you're wanting to the business impact. So how is it that you magnify your impact here? Well, making a business case for promotion is a very important thing to do. And this is not a case for promotion, it's a business case. Consider these two people. Okay, we've got Pamela, and she says, I really want to be promoted because career growth is very important to me and I want to grow in my career. I think I should be a senior engineer, and it would be very good if I got there. And here are the things that I think mean I should get promoted. Pamela's manager, in most cases, now this might be a very good manager, but most managers are going to think, oh dear, Pamela wants to be a senior person. That's going to be expensive. Where will I get the budget? I'm going to have to justify this to my boss. I'm going to have to tell finance. It's difficult to make this happen. And she hasn't given me very much to work with other than, well, Pamela wants to be senior. So what most managers will do in that situation is they will bury their head in the sand and they will go, okay, yeah, it sounds good, Pamela. Well, let's maybe think of some stretch projects, and they're vague and all the rest. And Pamela probably doesn't get promoted. Now, consider the different case. We'll consider Lauren. And Lauren says to Lauren's manager, look, I'm taking on these projects in a sort of a leading capacity because it's really helping them get executed more efficiently and helping us get less tech debt. You can see that the team here is having shorter cycle time. We can look at that in the data, and we can see that the work I'm doing is really paying off for delivery. We were able to ship this important project and it increased monthly active usage. So I think what I'm doing here is really helping. It would be better for the company if I could do this more systematically in a sort of official senior capacity or whatever it is. So my proposal here is, can I continue to have this kind of impact, leading the team in this way, doing these important things for the business? And to do that, a senior title is going to really enable me. It's going to really unlock this. So I would like to work with you together. And how do we make this happen? Now, the manager's like, this is helpful. Lauren shipped a good thing. It had good results. I don't want Lauren to quit. Lauren seems great. Now, the story to finance is very different. The story is, it's much cheaper to give her the promotion than to let her resign, and then we have to rehire, and she's done really well. So this is actually the better route. And anyway, it's totally merited because look at all these projects, look at this impact. We absolutely need to make Lauren a senior because this is why it's great for the business. This manager has just gotten a lot more to go on, and Lauren is therefore more likely to get promoted. And notice here that I've said nothing about Lauren or Pamela's skills. I have not mentioned who's the better developer, who actually had the better project, nothing at all. I've just touched on how did Lauren talk to her manager and how did Pamela talk to her manager. And Lauren had the manager walk away with an actionable, I need to do the thing, whereas Pamela likely got her manager to stick their head in the sand. So there's also this website Levels FYI, and I just want to mention, you should find out what people are being paid in the industry. That has very much huge companies, so it's not adjusted for size, but still worth looking at. And then you can see what are all the levels. There's many. Some tips and tricks here for leading without managing on the IC path. Track your career progress. When Lauren was saying, these are the great projects I've done, it's really hard to remember what did I even do? What did I even do today? I can't remember. So there's an article there linked how, and there's a template you can use as well. It's very much worth it to do this, even if it's a bit of effort. Interview at least every year, even if you don't want a new job. Why do I say that? Two reasons. Helps give you perspective on where you are right now. You might find that there's things about your current job that you value more highly than you thought. Secondly, you might actually get a better job. And thirdly, it really helps to keep your skills sharp, and it helps you to be sort of like career focused. Of course, if you're not focusing on your career, you don't need to interview. Like, it's totally fine to just relax. But assuming that you want to optimize your career right now, interviewing once a year is a good thing to do. Find role models that resonate with you, people who you would like to be like that in your career, because it'll help you really visualize where you want to get. And then, very important, a peer support network. People that are in a similar role to you. They don't need to be at the same company, but people that you can bounce ideas off and share, well, this is my situation. Is this normal? I'm not sure. It really helps. You can do that. Slack is a very good way. Slack communities, there's many of them. And then lastly, be very opportunistic. I would say that the only thing that I've successfully done of all these tips and tricks in my career is the last one. I would say I did not really track progress, interview well, or really, I think I had a peer network, but not so great on role models, to be honest. What I did do was very opportunistic and do the scary thing before you feel ready. If it scares you, just try it. You will fail less than you think you will. And now, lastly, here, I want to talk about where you're at right now. How do we magnify your impact, regardless of what your current situation is? So firstly, this is important. Think like you own the place. This is really, people will say, have an ownership mindset, or like an attitude of leadership, or take initiative. I never found that very helpful myself. I found that think like I'm literally the owner of everything is most helpful, because you'll naturally start thinking in terms of ROI, which is return on investment. If I spend 4 hours on this bug and I can't figure it out and it doesn't really matter, well, what is the salary that we've spent on this versus how many customers are likely to churn? Think in those terms, and then things will become clear. This is not an important thing. Then you'll say to your manager, look, couldn't figure it out, stop doing it because it doesn't make sense. The return on investment of my time there is low. I did something else more useful instead. Secondly, find out here, what is your manager stressed about? I like to ask, what are your current challenges? What's really on your mind? And bear that in mind. Try not to add to their stresses. And if you can, take on things that will help reduce the thing that they're worried about. Again, they're more likely to work hard to get you promoted. Promoting you is hard work for managers in most cases. They have to really advocate. So if you can incentivize your manager and help your manager to do it, it's worth it for you. Speaking, writing, tweeting, all of that, it's very helpful because just being visible, it strengthens your credibility, and that increases the impact that you have. And you do not have to be an expert. I have always been a fan of writing about the things I've learned, even when I'm really a bit worried about them. I remember when I wrote an article about my first 30 days ever as a new manager, and then my brand new direct report was like, great article. And I was just really, I felt like such an imposter. I can't even tell you. But that sort of thing really helps build credibility, because the direct report thought I was being very reflective. And then lots of other new managers were like, oh, this person knows how to be a new manager. No, she doesn't. She's only done it 30 days. So don't feel like you have to be an expert, but do share whatever it is that you're learning, because whatever you're learning, there's someone that doesn't know this. And also there's somebody that is on the same journey with you. The world's a big place with lots of people in it, and we're all far more connected and far more in a similar boat than I think it sometimes feels. And then my last sort of personal revelation that helped my career was that people really like to give advice. Ask questions and seek it out, both inside your company and outside. You'd be really, really shocked at how many people will respond to a cold email about something or a DM. My tip for that is be specific in what you're asking. Don't email, oh, I'm a designer, any tips? You should email, hi person, I saw your work on design systems over at this place where there's the library, and I wanted to ask, how did you choose your color palette? Could we have a quick coffee to pick your brain, or even just reply on this email? Most people are extremely flattered to be asked for advice. And I mean, think about it. If someone had to come to you and say, what is your advice? You would feel, oh, I'm quite the expert and people are looking up to me. You're not bothering people. Thank you very much. I am really happy to be here again, and please ask me all of your questions. I can't wait to get into it. You can also find me at @GoKatieWilde on Twitter. So if you have any questions, my DMs there are open, and feel free to send them along. Alrighty.